Hey everybody, it's Rob here. I have some good news for all of us spin to win Barbarian enjoyers out there. We were here on the PTR, we already basically played the nerfed version of the Twister Dust Devil Whirlwind Barb. This is, okay, a bit more on the size right now, but the Twisters here are already completely without any of the size increase. And our Whirlwind will be a bit smaller than in this footage here. I think I had like about 180% size, and you can only have maximum 100% size. But you see, this is a pit 200. Obviously, the pit 200 is going to get tremendously buffed, but this build is extremely strong, especially for speed running relatively easy content. You can speed run Helltide, you can speed run the open world, and you can even speed run pit runs because the DPS of those Twisters is still insane. And again, this is completely without any of the size scaling, and we're gonna have still 100% size scaling. So the DPS that you can see here is probably gonna go up, even though there's gonna be a cap on these Twisters. But even in this footage, I don't think I most of the time spawn more than 20 Twisters at a time. And you can let me know in the comments. It's very hard to count these, but I think in most cases I have like 10, 15 Twisters. I mean, maybe sometimes there's a bit more than 20. So that would be kept at 15. But this build is going to be extremely fun and just going to be such a cool one to play for the next season. And again, we're going to go over some of the numbers. And I think it's one of the most enjoyable builds. This can also be played very early on because this is basically the starter set that you're going to have on this Barbarian. Yeah, the size is a bit too unreal, I know, but you also have like some crazy pixel pulling here. And this is already a very conservative because, again, it's not scaling any size on those Dust Devils. And yeah, it's just a very solid build as we just finished the clear here. And I have the planner linked in the description as well. And we're going to go over it. So first of all, the changes that we're going to get. So they're going to cap the Twisters, and they're going to cap them at 100% size. But again, this footage, I didn't use any size scaling. So you're going to have probably double damage. And I did some napkin math here, just assuming we are spawning about 8 Twisters per second. We're still going to be looking like very solid 80 million DPS. About 5 million Twister ticks. And this is obviously still extremely powerful. And as you might have seen in the footage as well, I'm going to go back a bit. Our cooldown reduction is completely out of this world. Like, look at our cooldowns whenever we start attacking some enemies. See how fast our shouts reset? We just used them and they only have 6 seconds cooldown. And this is because we hit so many enemies with our Whirlwind size. And we have the Rage of Harrogath, which has now been changed. And from this Rage of Harrogath, we're basically getting a perma-shouts in combination with our Bolt's Chieftain. Because whenever we inflict bleeding into enemies, and our Whirlwind is doing that with the second rune, whenever we use a slashing weapon, and we have no grandfather or anything here, we just use the Devilish Aspect, so a slashing weapon, we're getting 1 second unlucky hit of our cooldown reduction. So it means all our shouts are all going to be reduced. The cool thing is here, we are also rocking Iron Skin. This is going to give us insane defensive survivabilities, which is also permanent up with Rage of Harrogath. And there's a super strong multiplier of the Iron Warrior here. You can see this is a 35% damage reduction as long as your Iron Skin is up. And this one gives you a ton of damage reduction. So this is also a very, very tanky build. And the build mainly revolves around generating fury. Like, there is also an aspect that we play here where our Whirlwind leaves Dust Devils behind. But I think well, I'm sure I calculated it, the main DPS is coming from the Devillish Aspect. And this one has also not been nerfed. They have only adjusted the double swing aspect. Obviously, this is still affected by the Twister cap, but it's not like a Twister amount reduced or damage reduced or something. The Devilish Aspect is still in full contact here, and it's giving us tremendous amounts of damage because on our Whirlwind, we actually have runes where whenever we hit any enemy, we are actually generating fury. And we can combine this with server glyphs here, such as the Wrath glyph, where also on crit, and our Whirlwind has a very high crit chance, we also generate enormous amounts of fury combined with all of the perma-shouts that we have, giving us further fury and resource generation here. And we're just going to get a bunch of fury, basically. So let's go over the gear. We're rocking Numbing Wrath here. This one is going to give us, as we generate so much fury, It's going to give us like infinite fortify as well. We have the Rage of Haragas, cooldown reduction. Inner Calm, like you might think like this is a Whirlwind build. Why do we play Inner Calm? It's now rework and it always gives us 10% damage. And there simply is nothing better for this build in terms of multiplier. We only get a 1.1 out of this, but it's for all damage. It's buffing our Whirlwind and it's buffing our Dust Devil Tornado. But keep in mind, like most of our damage, or almost all of our damage, is coming not from the Whirlwind itself. In fact, the normal Whirlwind would be in F tier in terms of DPS output, the pure Whirlwind version. But we are playing the Dust Devil Whirlwind Barb, and this one is very comfortable in S tier with tens of millions of damage and a very cool playstyle. So we're also rocking then the Iron Warrior. We already talked about this, damage reduction, unstoppable. We are rocking the Relentless Berserking. This one gives us perma Berserking because we are using Whirlwind to lucky hit and we just have full Berserking all the time. Then we have the Fierce Winds. This one is scaling again our damage. In the footage that you saw, we didn't have this at all. Whenever we activate our shouts, we proc additional twisters and it's scaling with its size. And the size is kept to 100, so we are playing one size roll only here. Then we are playing one chance to cast Dust Devils roll here for always double. So it's basically going to give us 6 Dust Devils. And then we are rocking the Whirlwind size on only one item, but this is still going to be more than enough for Whirlwind to hit enemies to generate Fury. So yeah, Dust Devil Aspect is also going to spawn more Dust Devils when we spin, and then we're using Ramanaldi, so we want to assign the dual wield weapon on our Whirlwind. So we attack with one sword and then one mace, and we need this later for our Paragons to deal more damage. And again, the sword we need to have a slashing weapon. Then we are rocking Edge Master on the Amulet. Again, maximum resource here, cooldown, like all the general stuff. And we are also stacking a bunch of resource generation that is basically going to give us more resources to proc more Devilish. It's a pretty cool scaler. And then, yeah, Edge Master, we just like keep our Fury full because we get so much from the Whirlwind back. And then we're playing Bolt's Chieftain just to have the perma shouts with the Rage of Haragas. And then if you have Starless Sky, it further reduces your resources and it gives you a 1.4x. If you don't have it, there's also a non version here. We just, without Uber Uniques, we're just playing the Aspect of Elements. And again, you can also add a Harlequin's Crest to this, but then you have to solve for Fortify. And in general, I don't think it's necessarily needed because the Harlequin's Crest, the 4 skill ranks do not apply to our aspects and our twisters, again, our main DPS. Then here on the skill tree, like we have 4 shouts and Iron Skin, so it's very easy to play. You just keep up these buffs. You have also got the Berserk, so you just press this whenever it's ready. And then you just hold your right click and you spin. We're using X Mastery right here. And again, like spin and attack with dual wielding. So then here we just lunging strike to unlock the next section. We only need 1 point in Whirlwind because we are not, scaling Whirlwind damage, and we use the slashing one. Then we have pressure point here to keep enemies vulnerable. Defensive stuff, we are using shouts here, Rallying Cry for even more resource generation and just more twisters in that way. Then we have Iron Skin with the healing rune. This one gives us insane amount of recoveries, 10% per second. And again, it's up a lot. Like if you just look at the Iron Skin here, if I press it, you see 10 seconds up and you see the cooldown is not even finished. And I could like press it again right now if I would have lost any life. So yeah, the cooldown reduction, like if you just watch it here, it's just insane. As soon as we start attacking something, like our cooldown is basically ready again. And this is going to happen even further if you go higher tiers because the monsters are going to live a bit longer. They're not going to die instantly. So yeah, cooldown is insane and good damage reduction with this Iron Skin. Then we have 1 point in Outburst, Toughest Nets. You don't necessarily need this. I like this whenever ranged, like archers or something, attacks us. They are already getting procced with bleeding. And this one helps us with our damage reduction and also reduces damage that they do. Then we have Challenging Shout here. This one gives us even more fury, so more twisters when we get attacked. A Warcry here, Berserking, and a big multiplier. We have the Shout support, we have more movement speed. This is a more speedrun focus. It's not really done for like highest pit push. You would play the Dust Devil version that I'll also link in the description. But this is more for speedruns. Then we have Prolific Fury for extra fury generation. Again, more twisters. Pit Fighter, close damage, counter offensive, fortify we get from Numbing Graph. And then the Wallop here. This is the reason why we use Ramadaldis, 1 sword, 1 slashing weapon, and 1 mace. So we get both the benefits. We get Wallop, and we also get the slashing bleeding for our Rage of Haragath. Very cool combination. Concussion here for some extra stunts. Like this one is a bit optional, like you can play this. Or you can get some more defensive stuff if you don't like the stagger and the CC all too much. For example, Slaying Strike could be pretty cool. In fact, I would actually prefer a more offensive style, so we're going to change this. Then we have Tempered Fury. This one is going to give us more Fury, again scaling with our Ramalaldis. And then for the passive, key passive, we have Unconstrained, Berserking, more DPS, always good. Paragon points gonna look like this. Starter board, we take all the life percent nodes, we have Exploit. Then we take all the Fury because we have on the Wobbling board because we have Ramalaldis. Wrath to generate even more Fury for more Twisters. And then we have the Twister glyph here in the big Paragon board where we have all the main stat. And it's gonna give us 75 and just a tremendous combination. Ambidextrous here. Multiplying the damage reduction, because damage reduction now is hard to come by in the new patch, and this one is just multiplying it, and also 1.8 multiplier with our one-hand weapons from Ramalaldis, that's what we're attacking with. Then we have Ira here. This one is great. Berserking damage is a separate multiplier and decimator for vulnerable targets, and this is where we want the Blood Rage. It's now capped at 1.3, and you want to reach the 1.3 for maximum damage. And then Martian here to reduce our cooldowns even further. But yeah, the Blood Rage, the way you cap it, I usually have Wrath of the damage, while Wrath of the Berserking rolled on the gloves and one of our one-handers, like here. So you get 100, it depends a bit on if you masterwork it, but you get like about 100, 120, 130, and then you get a couple more Paragon boards, Paragon nodes here, with this one, and that's usually enough. You just want to make sure that you are at the 1.3 multiplier, and if you are above, you can remove, like, you know, damage like here or something. Like you can remove these, for example, and just take this. So like you're very flexible with your Paragon boards. But yeah, that's pretty much the overview. And again, this build is very strong. I'm definitely looking forward to play this probably early on because it's going to be our a part of our leveling build. We're going to start Dust Devil, and then depending on where the difficulty is and which aspects we get, I think it's going to be pretty strong. And you see here these Twisters, even right now, they can tick for up to, what are we ticking here, like 5, 2.6, like 2.7 million. And again, this is the base Twister. It's gonna get doubled in size, because I didn't use it here, because I was already expecting it to get nerfed. So it's double the size, and it also means it's double the damage. So all these ticks here would be hitting for about 5 million, and nothing is changed to this damage. We're just getting ×2. And we're hitting for 5 million-ish, but then we are getting capped Twisters. So I'm not sure like how many are on the screen right now. So we can only have a maximum of 15 Twisters at a time. And here's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 or something, right? So this is not even 15 yet. And this elite pack already died. And the assumption is, so you can have only a maximum of 15 Twisters. That's I don't even know where they say this. Somewhere in the patch notes here it says that you can only have 15 Twisters. And the assumption is if you have the 15, if you spawn the 16th Twister, that just the first Twister is gonna despawn. So it's still gonna help you with your DPS if you spawn more than 15 Twisters per second, because that first Twister is probably already in some corner somewhere, like just like all these here. Like I don't know, like it doesn't really matter to our damage on this pack if this Twister that already hit the pack and already, you know, walked away or spawn away into some corner, if it's gonna despawn. So I don't really think that the damage is nerfed that much, and we're still hitting for 5 million per Twister per second, hitting twice. So if we have 5 million per second hitting twice, and we have 15 Twisters per second, we're actually doing 150 million damage. Maybe we only have like, you know, 8 Twisters per second, and then we're still doing 80 million damage. So yeah, this build is still, I think, tremendously powerful, and you can scale it even higher. So it very well deserves its 80, and it's a cool spin to win playstyle. Again, planner and the video are going to be linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed this overview, and I'll see you in Season 4. Spin to win, rejoice. Let's go. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.